Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Unshackled with Shambhavi, and today we're going to talk about how I escaped the relationship trap. Which is not to say that I'm single today. I am very, very happily committed, but finally it feels like a relationship that I wanted, I needed, which is healthy. What I'm going to talk about is all the unhealthy relationships I had and what didn't work in that. And no, it's not going to be the other people, it's going to be me. So this is in no way relationship advice. I also want to say that it's not like I'm not holding them responsible, but what others do is beyond my control. What I can work on is myself, which is what I'm trying to say in every way possible, right? And the conclusion of this video is why being true to yourself is the best way. There is no other way. And why is this the best way? Because through my relationships, I'll show you that I've tried basically everything and nothing worked. So let's dive deep into it. So my first relationship happened in college, and I don't even know where to start. Interestingly, we kept that relationship a secret. The reasons that I rationalized, or the ones that we discussed, was because we were from the same class and we were part of a bigger group, and being in relationship with each other might make it awkward in the group. That was the reason why we decided not to tell people. Initially it was because we were just exploring, so we didn't want to kind of make a big deal out of it, and then eventually that was it. But for 5 years we kept it to ourselves. And while that was the official reason, my real reason was somehow I was ashamed. Which is not a reflection on him at all. He had his flaws, we had our issues, but my main reason was, what will people say about our relationship? Because of the physical attributes, I don't know. I don't want to say it like that. I've already said it. I didn't want to say it like that because, again, this is no reflection on him. This is all reflection on me. So while I used to pretend that I'm this woke person who doesn't care about all these things, I did care about what people said. His personality, physicality were never an issue for me, but I was worried about what others will say, so I kind of kept it to myself. And I don't know his reasons, so I'm not going to speak for him. But 3 years into that relationship, in fact, even before that, initially I had a huge crush on him because there were some qualities in him that reminded me of my father. This is all in hindsight, of course. And I really, really felt safe with him, right? He was an amazing friend. There were some issues which eventually I realized is not something I'm for. And there was a lack of physical attraction from my end. Again, not a reflection on him. And I'm not saying this to save face or anything. That's genuinely what I believe. So he was an extreme gentleman. He never forced any kind of physicality on me. I was always a little afraid. And it was my first time, whatever jazz that is. For whatever reasons, I was not ready, and he never pushed that. And I'm extremely grateful for it. He'll always have a special place in my heart. But sometime into it, I realized we are not compatible. But because he was one of my closest friends, I didn't have the balls to end it. I was pretty spineless. And he also didn't want to let go. And he has his own reasons. Again, can't speak for him. But after 3 years of struggling with it, I said that we should not see each other anymore. But he convinced me otherwise. And the reason he was able to convince me was because I couldn't stand up for myself. He had all these logics. And because I just couldn't say, like, fuck it, I don't care, I don't want to do it, I did. And then eventually, because I was just so much, couldn't stand up for myself, was not able to even on day-to-day basis express what I was feeling. It was filled with resentment and also a lot of meanness towards each other. Eventually what happened was, again, I kind of used to flirt with this other guy, and in my head I rationalized, all on text and everything, that it's just an innocent flirting. I'm a very flirtatious person, which is true, but there is a line, and I realized you shouldn't cross it. But I only realized it after actually crossing it. I cheated on my boyfriend then, and again, not to go into details because nothing excuses any kind of cheating. Because then I felt guilty. I did something, I broke someone's trust. I refused to take a decision. I told him, you take a decision. And he decided that we should give it another try. And we did. But in hindsight, I realized all those signs were there. We shouldn't have gone with it. It led to a lot of resentment on my part and on his part, I'm sure. So, for what reason? Like, I kept to it. I still don't know why. So that was there. And because of that, eventually after college, when I ended things, it was really hurtful for him and for me. And it led to an end of a very beautiful friendship, because he was my friend first. It's only later when we became, a couple. And I still feel really sad about it, but it is what it is, right? The second guy I dated, a little later than that, maybe like 2-3 years later, when I felt like I was fully over my first relationship, he turned out to be a man-child. By then, I kind of knew that I needed someone who were, financially independent. But this guy was living with his parents, which in itself is not a problem. But because he did that, he never had to deal with a lot of stuff. And again, I'll not like to generalize it, because I know other people as well who have lived at their home and still been quite mature. But my experience with him was, he used to live at home. He had these weird habits. His friends that he hung out with, whom he kept complaining to me about, but he still hung out with them, really picked out on really bad habits. And this was around COVID and the first lockdown. So it was already a long distance relationship, because we were in different cities and we were stuck in different cities, right? So as COVID was very, very frustrating for everybody involved, eventually what that led to, initial honeymoon phase, it was all nice, he was very understanding and everything, but because he lacked the maturity and he didn't have any kind of self-control or drive to get better as a person himself, or at least in the ways that I wanted to, what eventually ended up happening was he started taking me for granted. And I kept bringing up the same issue again and again and again, but it never got resolved. And eventually I remember calling him up one day, telling him, look, if you can't do this for me, and I was asking for bare minimum, I was asking for some time, some very solid time, which was not even like spend the day with me. It was like, give me a few hours of undivided attention, maybe in half an hour, whatever is feasible. He didn't do anything. He was like, okay, we break up. I genuinely thought he will at least try, call or say something, but he didn't. And that was hurtful, because then it made me feel like, wow, if it was so easy to let me go, why were we in a relationship for all these months, right? Man-child. And I'm not saying him a man-child because he didn't call me back. It was just his behavior, which I don't want to get too much detail into. But the cherry on the top was the third guy. Look, I never use the word narcissist lightly, but he had the traits of one. He was self-absorbed. He was all happy and very excited when it came to him. And initially he was extremely sweet. Too sweet in my opinion. Now he was very intent on holding on to me and everything, which I didn't see. I was hungry for love and attention back then, and I kind of bought into it, right? Later he started like accusing me a lot of things. I used to have other guy friends, as anybody does, and he started kind of hinting that you shouldn't talk to them because it feels like cheating and whatnot. And so basically a lot of accusation of cheating, not being understanding and everything. And this is a guy that I spent a lot on. I have lent him a lot of money, and yeah, he rode a lot on my back in that sense. I don't know if that's the saying or whatever, but yeah, he was a narcissist. He was a serial cheater. I later found out, yeah, he was cheating all the while he was accusing me of one, and a fucking thief because he's yet to return my money. So yeah, you know who you are. Anywho, those were the 3 exclusive ones I had. And then let's not even talk about the casual ones. You know how they are. And I knew in my heart and soul that I'm not someone who's very much into casual scenes, because yeah, sex is important to me, but I can't be sexual with someone with no emotion, and it's very difficult in casual. And somehow my experience with Indian men, most of them, there are a few amazing exceptions, but most of them didn't understand it. For them it was just sex, and I was like, I don't need you to be my boyfriend, but I do require some level of connection with the relationship, even in a casual one, which most men didn't understand. So that was all fucked up. But the common theme in all these relationships, the serious ones and the casual one, was that I was trying to be someone who I thought this person needed. Somehow I always, I was zeroing in on the people who showed me even a little bit of attention, and I was very hell-bent on pleasing them and making sure that they love me. Not me who I am, but what they would want, because I was just so lonely, just so desperate for love and attention that I was willing to compromise anything. I had sex with people when I was not comfortable with it. I have done the kind of compromises that I was not comfortable. I was not comfortable with lending money. I did that. I was not comfortable with going certain places. I did that. All because I thought if I do this for them, they'll be happy with me. This was something that I learned in my childhood, that for me to be valuable, I need to do something for the other person. And with that mindset, by internalizing that and then wearing a pretense about that, I kept doing it. And I was so it was such a anxious living, because with all these people, I was so focused on being the perfect person for them. It was so anxiety inducing, because that meant I had to pay attention to every little thing that they are thinking, presume, guess what issue they might have, and then prematurely do. I was overworking myself to be happy in these relationships by being something I was not, and it never worked out. 5-year one didn't work out. The second man child didn't work out. I gave him expensive gifts, didn't work out. The narcissist didn't work out, right? And in all these relationships, I was what they wanted. I was really good at understanding from the get-go, and these were also people who were okay with this kind of relation, and that's a reflection on them. But I changed myself. Every time I changed myself to be with these people, thinking that if they are happy, I'll be happy. I genuinely believe that I'll derive happiness from their other happiness. And while that do work, today I am in a secure, healthy relationship, and their happiness, my partner's happiness, is really, really important to me. And I genuinely get happy when he's happy. But it's a two-way street. And with my current partner, I'm not trying to be anybody else. I am who I am. So when I'm doing things for him, I'm doing it out of love, not out of the need to please him, And well, that shows up sometimes, but for the most part, I am this person. I say what I want. I demand things. I also want, there are certain standards, certain needs I have, which I ask for. I want attention, I want gifts, whatever it is. And I'm able to do that, but I thought that all these exes and all these past relationships, I was trying to, Like I was just trying to be perfect person for this other person. And I know I keep saying that, but it's just so frustrating to think about that right now. I mean, how was I so foolish to think that if I pretended to be this, they'll be happy? Why did I think that I'll be able to keep it up? Itna acting kaun kar sakta hai? Nobody can act so much and for such a long time and forever. And this was roles that I thought I will have to do for life. This is what I did in other relationships, like out of romantic relationships and familial relationships and friendships. I tried being this other person, and it was all different for different people. It was different with this A friend and then different with this B friend. It was so tiring. And then at the end of the third relationship, that was the last relationship I had. After that, like before that, I decided to never pursue a casual one because it's just not my cup of tea. And the third relationship happened ironically during the second lockdown. And it was such a depressing time, I tell you. I was stuck alone. Like, can you imagine? I was in Goa. So, in this beautiful place, I was not far away from the beach. I had cycle and everything. And there was curfew, but I could go in the mornings and stuff. It was, and how home I was staying 1 BHK, beautiful, right? But in middle of this beauty, I was just in the shittiest place in my mind. I was just so unhappy. I was so alone. There was no support except my best friend. But just stuck. And second lockdown in India was, in my experience, the worst one. Because in the first, there was a lot of fear and everything. But around the second lockdown, a lot of people that you knew in your family or, friends and stuff, they were getting directly affected. We lost a lot of people. So somehow the second wave was more real in that sense, so much more scarier. And I was stuck there and it was just fuck all. I thinking about it makes me feel like I want to run away, because it was one of the worst experiences of my life. It was the bottom experience. Like I was just so unhappy and then so desperate to keep peace that I was already on the rock bottom. And I'll borrow Rachel from Friends, say that rock bottom, 30 feet of crap, and then me. I was putting myself under that crap. Nobody else did it for me. I did it for myself, because in spite of this person showing me that they really don't give a shit about me, I kept thinking that if I do this, if I become this, they'll come back and love me, right? After that, when that kind of relationship ended, and thank God it ended in 6 months because it was enough damage. Initially, in my frustration, I thought that I don't maybe this relationship thing is drilled into me by the society, so maybe I should just let it be. But there was a moment of realization. I took a trip in Uttarakhand, and it was a spiritual journey, and there was a moment of realization where I was able to visualize a future with a partner. So I knew that I always wanted a partner. That's why I was so, seeking it out, a partnership, companionship. But I think I was going about it the wrong way. This time around, basically what was happening in the relationships was, while I wanted partner, I wanted love, and I wanted that equal sort of relationship, I was only driven by my insecurity, right? So this is a classic case of, this is what I want, but I was going about it in the wrong way. So of course it was all fucked up, right? I was just so scared of being lonely, everybody around me. I just wanted some attention, love, some kind of, wanted someone to care about me. I didn't get that from my family. I have some amazing friends, but unfortunately, for better part of our friendships, we have stayed in different cities. So while I love them to death, it's really different when they're not in the same city. I think if they were in the same city, life would have been slightly different. But okay, that's a different tangent. Coming back to this, the thing is, I wanted love and attention and validation. I wanted someone to care about me and me, not what I brought in for them. But that took a long time to understand. After so many failed relationships, the cycle of so many failed relationships, feeling insecure about myself and my needs. Like at one point I was questioning my need. Why do I need to have it? I was like, hey, I can be happy if they are happy. No, it doesn't work like that, right? It took me a long time, a lot of crap, to reach a point where I was like, hey, I cannot keep getting into this kind of relationship again and again and again. I need to break the cycle. And with that, I reached the conclusion, like I said earlier, that I do want a partner. But I cannot have a partner by sacrificing myself. So I had to let go of the fear of being alone and lonely and let my essence decide the one for me, my truth. Because, and when I say my truth, it's, you can look at it as your intuition, your soul. It's the difference of language, it's all the same thing. But by this time, I knew my intuition, because so far, in all sorts of relationships, romantic or otherwise, I've always had intuition, especially about the wrong sort of people. And when I say wrong sort of people, not to say they're bad people, just not right for me. I've always had intuition that this is the wrong person, this is the wrong person. And initially, like in my early 20s, I used to really ignore it. And it has always come back and bit me in my ass. So from there, I know to trust my intuition. So somehow this time around, because I had accepted that it could mean that I'm forever lonely, even if I want a partner, but this time around, I cannot compromise this myself for this. I was able to somewhat accept it, like I was able to accept it. Okay, fuck it. I'll rather be with a good partner or alone. There is no other option. So I kind of knew that I can trust my intuition, my essence, to figure out the right person for me. And then something changed. This time around, when I went into the dating scene, before this, like I said, whenever someone used to give me a little bit of attention, I could see that there's some attention coming this way, I would stop everything else, pursuing everybody else, and then just focus on this person, and not think if they're right for me. Just like, what can I be so that they are fully interested in me and in me. So I used to change my costumes for different people, which didn't work out very well for me, as usual. So this time around, when I went back into the dating scene and I was using dating app, I met a lot of people, and funny enough, because I was not approaching it from a point of desperation, I was fully prepared to let the right person walk in my life, but be on the gate guarding my soul and my sanctity from the wrong people. So I had really funny experiences. There was this one guy I went on a coffee date with, who kept insisting that he wants to come into my house. I used to live alone at that time. And I said, no. And he was like, no, I'll sneak in and everything. I'm like, bro, no. This isn't about you coming and sneaking in. That happened a lot of times. Like once I kind of switched off my insecurity, or at least not allow it to drive, suddenly all these men and their incompetency and standards were so stark to me, which if I was trying to please other people, I wouldn't be able to see. But this time around, it became like a game for me. It was hilarious. I have such funny story out of it. The way they tried to convince me of what I wanted or what I didn't want, and the kind of assumptions they had, it was funny. But this time around, I had clarity. I had a sense of what I wanted and an assurance of what I didn't. And more than that, I trusted myself to be able to make the right decision. I trusted my instinct, and I just decided to be that. I just kept to my truth. I didn't let my insecurities drive me. And I can't say if it happens to everybody else, but since I decided to be in my truth, my intuition, whatever you want to call it, this time around I found my partner pretty fast. I was fully prepared to not be able to find that kind of person for like another decade or so. I was like, in closer to 40s, I'll still be dating, and I'll not find a partner. But I found one so fast. It was hilarious. And I love my partner. Like he's this amazing gem of a person. And I just think back and laugh. Like from there, all these really shitty partners to this gem of a person. And the only different thing I did, because I was both context seeking partners, I didn't also employ anything different. I met most of these guys through dating app, except one. I met that guy in college, and this guy I met in, like, I didn't do much different except following my intuition, my truth, my essence, and that led me to find the right kind of person. And it just blew my mind, which made me think, why can I not do this in other things, in friendships, in familial relationships, in work. And that's what I'm kind of doing. You can see the other video that I posted about the relationship with my parents, which is also basically concluding to the same point, that if you stay in your essence, because we have been taught by the society that this should look like this, like relationships should look like this, family relationships should look like this. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. You cannot categorize, or you cannot box people and situations like that. And I am just imploring you don't have to do things the way I've done. If you need to try your own shit. What I'm saying is that you need to have some faith in yourself and follow your intuition, follow your truth. And if it brings some kind of chaos, it's not a bad thing. If it brings failure, it's not a bad thing. It's just told by society and people around us that it's a bad thing. It is not. It's a bullshit statement that has been fed to us. Failure is the way to success. If you don't want to listen to me, just look at the successful people. Any person that you look up to who is successful in things that you want to be successful in, if you look up to their trajectory, their journey, this is what happens. They go through multiple, not one, not twice, multiple failures to reach that point of success, which is huge. So if everybody is doing that, there has to be some truth to it, right? Do you know anybody who has not failed once and been an amazing success, to reach any sort of success, be it financial, fame, body, relationship, whatever? Nobody has done it in the first go, because we don't know. You have to try things to know, right? And the only way to live your life in anything that you do is live in your essence. And that's what I'm trying to say with everything that I do, with all sorts of story. It's not even like, it's something that I believe. It's the pattern that I see, that wherever I have followed my truth, beautiful things have happened. And whenever I followed my truth, it doesn't look like what society tells me to look like. It doesn't look like whatever society, my parents tell me I should be married by now. I'm not. And I'm extremely happy, man. I see people around me getting married, having children, and it works for them. No shade there. It's an amazing thing. I'm not against marriage or children, but I'm against doing things for the heck of it. You need to do it because you feel it's right in the moment. And you can only do that if you are able to practice your intuition. It doesn't happen fortnight. You won't be able to okay, habaki sab din, let's kind of be in this, let's pretend to be this person, and suddenly one day we'll transform. That only happens in movies. It doesn't work. In real life, you have to practice being in your intuition, trusting your intuition, following through your intuition in the small little things that you do every day, so that it accumulates and you're able to do that in big things. We'll talk about that process in a different video, but this is what it is. You have to, in whatever you do, in all sorts of relationship, follow your intuition. Trust yourself that your body knows, your soul knows, your mind knows what it wants. You don't know how it will happen, but trust your intuition, your truth, your essence to guide you, right? That's the only guide that will guide you to in the right direction. Nobody else can do that for you. And this is the message I'm trying to give, that follow that guide inside of you. All right, I don't know how else to end the video, so this was it. Thank you for following my videos. If you really like it, please like, subscribe. Also, let me know if you have some similar stories like that. I would love to see that on the channel, or get you on the channel so that you can talk about it, or put it in the comments below. Thank you guys. Bye bye.